Welcome back, everybody. We are continuing on with the next chapter of Halloween Vibes, the Eternal Rest Bed and Breakfast Paranormal Cozy Mysteries novella about a Halloween weekend gone wrong at Eternal Rest. So let's get going. Chapter 7. So many girlfriends, Sage commented. And was Joe trying to tell us that he thinks one of them is the killer? Emily asked. He's definitely scared of one of them. Sage's eyes narrowed. But which one? I'm going to guess all of them, Trevor said. He gave a nervous laugh, and Emily couldn't blame him for feeling uncomfortable. All three women looked upset, and they were definitely heading for the gazebo. The first two women stopped right at the foot of the stairs. Rebecca moved to stand next to them, and the man who had broken up the shouting match dashed up and joined them nervously. He seemed to expect another outburst. To Emily, the scene felt like a strange standoff. The four of them lined up shoulder to shoulder, facing her, Trevor, and Sage. Hey, Bailey, Sage called affably. Emily didn't know if her best friend couldn't sense the sudden tension, or if she just didn't care. It was probably the latter, Emily decided. It took a lot to ruffle Sage's feathers, or, in this case, her orange gauze skirt and turquoise blouse. One of the women, whose auburn hair was in a pixie cut, gave Sage what was probably supposed to be a smile. Instead, it looked more like a grimace. Hey, Sage. The second woman's eyes went immediately to Sage. You're that psychic medium. Is he here? Joe? Sage asked. I can honestly say that he is not. I was hoping he was so I could tell you that Bailey killed him. How many times do I have to tell you? Bailey said, turning to the other woman. Just stop it, Gloria. If Joe's spirit could talk to us, he would tell you I'm innocent. Ladies, please, the man said, leaning forward at the waist so he could address both of them. Robbie, is our scarecrow done yet? Bailey asked pointedly. Robbie pursed his lips, looking like he wanted to retort, but instead he gave a curt nod before he turned and loped off. Sage got up from the floor of the gazebo, smoothed out her skirt, then slowly walked down the stairs until she was just inches from the three women. She leaned forward and sniffed loudly. Emily had to turn her face away, biting her lip so she wouldn't burst out laughing. She made the mistake of catching Trevor's eye, though, and he was clearly trying to hold in his mirth, too. That only made the scene funnier to Emily, and she brought a hand up to suppress a giggle. What are you doing? The woman named Gloria asked. As Emily turned back to the scene, her laughter under control for the moment, she saw Joe's girlfriend lean back slightly while eyeing Sage suspiciously. I'm sniffing for clues, Sage said, but none of you smells like I thought you might. Okay. Gloria looked like she regretted having approached Sage, but Bailey seemed amused by the whole thing. Rebecca had been standing silently next to the other women, her eyes red and puffy. She looked right at Emily. I heard the news, she said, her voice shaking. I came to see what was going on. Oh, Emily, it's so awful. No matter how much of a jerk he might have been, Rebecca's distress over Joe's death seemed genuine. Emily got up from the floor of the gazebo and walked down the steps to stand next to Rebecca. She put a gentle hand on Rebecca's shoulder and said quietly, My condolences, Rebecca. I'm sorry you have to deal with this. Unless you're the one who killed him, Emily added silently. Rebecca could, she knew, simply be putting on a good show. Yeah, not the Halloween we were expecting to have, Rebecca said miserably. She reached into her purse and pulled her phone out, and Emily shifted her attention back to the other women as Rebecca stared at the screen of her phone. Trevor, Emily noticed, had moved to stand close to Sage, and he was eyeing the women warily. Gloria was asking Sage if she was absolutely 100% sure Joe's ghost wasn't around. Because there's no way he would just die and not come back to give me a message, Gloria said in conclusion, tossing her long, curly black hair over her shoulder. She was glaring at Sage, like she was daring the psychic to contradict her. He loved me. Didn't you two have a fight last night? Trevor asked. Gloria shot him a fiery look. Where did you hear that? She spat. Trevor's cheeks began to redden. Detective Hernandez probably wasn't supposed to share details of the case, and Emily knew none of them should say where they had heard about the fight. Trevor cleared his throat, then looked at Sage. Word gets around, he said finally. It was a lame explanation, Emily thought, but it seemed to be enough for Gloria, who nodded slowly. This town, she muttered. Once we're past this, I'm moving to a big city where no one knows all of my business. Emily's range of vision was suddenly filled with a cell phone screen. Here, look, Rebecca said, thrusting the phone even closer to Emily. This was us at our senior prom. We started dating during our junior year of high school. The photo showed two teenagers standing in front of a cardboard prop that Emily thought was supposed to look like a canal in Venice. Rebecca's dress was pale pink satin, and it looked more like a fairy tale princess dress than a prom dress, at least as far as Emily was concerned. But really, Emily wasn't concerned with the dress at all. Instead, it was the gigantic corsage pinned to Rebecca's dress that she was focused on. 3 roses sat among a thick spray of baby's breath. Roses, like the smell Joe channeled to us during the seance. That's quite the corsage, Emily said, trying to sound casual. Rebecca laughed, then gave a sniff. Yeah, isn't it ridiculous? My mother said I'd come home with one shoulder permanently lower than the other from carrying that extra weight all night. It became a running joke between me and Joe. Whenever we'd have a fight, he'd make up by saying he would buy me a rose corsage made for a giant. Did you two fight a lot? Emily asked. Rebecca sniffed again and wiped at her cheek with her free hand. As she put her phone back into her purse, she said sadly, Not at first. He was so sweet when we were in high school. We dated long distance during college. Then we both came back here after graduation. I thought we were going to get married, but... Rebecca shrugged. It was like being with a different person. He'd become a jerk who only thought of himself. When my parents started talking about moving away, I decided it was best for me to do the same. Emily peered at Rebecca. When you were talking about you and your sister experiencing Halloween in Oak Hill, I assumed you had moved away when you were much younger. No, I was 24 when I left. I got a job in Atlanta, and then my parents went to Florida to take care of my grandma the following year. Rebecca's mouth twitched. I was so miserable during my time here after college that I tried to pretend it never happened. You dated Joe too? It was Gloria, who was looking at Rebecca with something like compassion. Even still, Emily could see the hint of contempt on her face. Yeah, Rebecca said, giving Gloria a small smile. Well, Gloria again tossed her thick hair over her shoulders, am his current girlfriend. I'm very sorry for your loss, Rebecca said quietly. Once again, Emily got the feeling she was being genuine. But don't take her off your suspect list, Emily reminded herself. Bailey laughed self-consciously. I'm one of Joe's exes, too. Your name is Rebecca, and you're staying at Eternal Rest, right? This is a bit awkward because I'm the one coming to get your group into costume later. Rebecca's face lit up at that. Oh, you're Bailey? Hi, yes, we're so excited that you're helping us get into the spirit. And don't worry, nothing is going to be awkward. I dated Joe a long time ago, and I moved on a long time ago, too. You'll meet Wyatt when you get to Eternal Rest later. He's the best, and unlike Joe, he would do anything for me. Out of the corner of her eye, Emily caught the significant look that Sage sent in her direction. Emily couldn't read minds, but she knew Sage was thinking, anything? Even murder? Bailey was just beginning to tell Rebecca about a new costume she had gotten into the shop that might be great for her when Gloria interrupted. She stabbed a finger toward Bailey. Make sure she doesn't kill your husband, too. Bailey's jaw clenched, and she drew in a deep breath. She had been more than willing to participate in the shouting match earlier, but she seemed reluctant to do so in front of a client. Ladies, Sage said, as much as I'd love to watch this drama, don't you think it's time to calm down? All of you are grieving, and the more you fight with each other, the more you're going to get upset. Of course I'm upset, Gloria said icily. I'm staring at the woman who murdered my boyfriend. Trevor took half a step toward Gloria, looking ready to intervene if she decided to move from yelling to something more physical. There was a shriek, and at first Emily thought it had come from Bailey, but the sound, she realized, was coming from the direction of the crime scene. The spat between Gloria and Bailey was momentarily forgotten as everyone turned to see who had made the sound. A woman was sprinting across the grass, quickly closing in on the crime scene tape. She stopped a little too late, pushing against the tape like a runner crossing the finish line. The woman shrieked again, her hands clutched to the sides of her face. The hem of her dress swung around her calves, and Emily could see the fabric had a pattern of roses on it. So that does it for chapter 7. Keep watching for chapter 8 and what happens next in Halloween Vibes. Thank you.